Oh, that could go in there too. Hey, kia ora. Helen, Brahms here, coming live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling, fun day. Yes, we're talking about fun today and all the different sorts of fun you can have. And this is, I didn't do it as, oh, that's where they are. I found them. I was looking for something and I knew they were around my desk somewhere. I just found them. You'll learn about them in a second. So, Helen tried to make a list. I do much better with mind maps, but I was like thinking, what are some fun things that we could do? And being a Friday, you got the weekend coming up, and yes, you can. Some of these activities will require pre-planning, but other ones you can just do. That sounds like a good idea. Let's go try it. Oh, that's a lovely one. Okay, so hang on. Dinner. There we go. And you will notice that there is something very much in common with all of these. And what's in common with this complete list that I have written out today? I just added things to it over the day. But what is really cool about this list is that looking down it, there's no electronics. Okay, there are some electronics required for looking up instructions or booking something, but none of them are electronic activities. These are all electronic free activities. So we're going to give you some ideas. And why should you have fun? Fun is like taking a break. And if you were listening to us the other day, a few days ago, a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, wherever we were, we talked about the importance of taking breaks. So getting out and having fun and getting away from the norm is another way that you can have a break. And I like to think of Saturdays as Shake It Up Saturday, where you go and do something different, something that you haven't done in a long time, something that you've never done before. You try take a different route to go somewhere, and that can all lead to having fun in different ways. You make games out of things. One of the reasons I used to love going grocery shopping because Brad and I would always go grocery shopping together, and he was always in control of the grocery cart. That was his thing. I was like, fine. But then I'd be at a shelf and I'd be selecting different things and I'd turn around with an armful of groceries and he was gone. I had no clue where my arms are full. I can't get on my phone and go, where are you? I'm like, damn him, where's he gone this time? And so then I would start walking past the ends of the rows that we hadn't been down yet, and I would eventually find him and put the stuff in. I was like, where did you get to? And he goes, I just suddenly thought we needed such and such. I said, well, why didn't you tell me I would have added it to the list? Oh, no, I just thought it'd be quick enough for me to go and grab it. And I said, well, I've spent the last 10 minutes walking around looking for you. And he's like, okay. It wasn't really a bother. I, however, would get him back at the checkout line, but not on the same day, never on the same day. You know how at checkouts they have tabloid magazines which have all these weird and wonderful headlines and everything else? Yeah, well, Brad's other task was that if he was driving the cart, he had to unload it, and he had a way of unloading like all the refrigerated stuff go together, all the frozen stuff go together, all the produce gets put up together, all the canned stuff. So he had his system of. But what annoyed him is that he would put it up on the conveyor belt that way. He would get home and nothing would be smart bagged. It would all just be piled in wherever it would fit. It annoyed him so much. That was so funny. It kind of sort of did, but not really. Yeah, they were just like, oh, we need something to fill that gap. Yep, that'll do. Yeah, so that used to annoy him as well. But what I would do is after he'd finished packing the groceries, while he's putting the groceries up on the conveyor belt, I'm scanning the TV guide. They have, was it Soap Opera Digest, the Inquirer, the National whatever it was. So I'm scanning all these magazine headlines and everything else that are up there. And my husband was 6'5", so he stood head and shoulders above the the walls that they have between the different checkout lines. And I would get these and go, okay, I need a juicy headline. I'd just be there and just, we're just chit-chatting. Meanwhile, I'm scanning the things. And all of a sudden I'd grab him and go, oh, have you heard? And he'd go, heard what? And I'd say it not in my normal tone voice, just a little louder so that people would catch people's attention. And he'd look at me and he'd go, heard what? And I go, did you hear that, so-and-so had an alien baby, whatever the headline was. I read off one of the headlines. And he would look at me and he'd go, what? And I'd go, look, it's right there on the cover of this magazine. And he would just stand there and go. But we had fun. That was part of making our grocery fun. It was probably to see how much we could annoy each other. I don't know, but we had fun going grocery shopping. So grocery shopping isn't as fun anymore. I have to push the cart myself. I have to put stuff in there. That's why I get it delivered. It saves me a lot of time too, because with Brad it was like, here's the list, let's go, and we were in and out. Whereas if I ever went by myself, it would take me ages to go through the market. Even if I knew the layout of the market, it would take me forever to get through there. Because like, and then halfway through I'm like, we could have that for dinner. And then I'm still like, okay, what ingredients do I need for that? Okay, and then I have to do another circuit around the market to pick up the ingredients for whatever dish I suddenly thought that we were going to have. So yeah, I don't do grocery shopping. But okay, so different things. Totally off track. Sorry. Okay, so having fun when you're out, make it a game when you go out. If you've got kids with you, send them off to go and pick, if they're old enough, send them off to go and pick up the bread or pick up some canned goods, or some of the stuff that you want them to do that would be easy to carry, easy for them to know exactly which one it is, and that sort of stuff, and make it a game with them. Help them to learn about grocery shopping and all that sort of stuff, and just send them off to, okay, I need you to go get a can of cream corn, or I need you to go and get a can of salsa, or whatever. Just send them off on their little tasks, and it's involving them instead of them, can we have this? Can we have that? And yeah, I've been through that. Yes, went grocery shopping one time with my grandson. It was so funny. He loved goldfish, so we got the big carton of goldfish, and he hugged that thing the entire way around the supermarket. We get to the checkout, and we're putting everything up on the checkout thing, and the woman's scanning it and putting it through, and the last thing to be scanned is his goldfish. And I said to him, I said, Dominic, we need to let the lady scan the goldfish. And he's like, mine. I said, yes, I understand it's yours, but Grandma has to pay for it first, and they need to scan it. You'll get it right back. She's just going to scan it and hand it back. And he was just sort of like looking at you like, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. These are my goldfish. And so we eventually coaxed them off him, gave them to the lady. She scanned them and handed them straight back to Dominic. And he was like, mine. Yes, yours, but you can't have them just yet. But make a game out of just everyday errands. If you're having to go out and do errands this weekend, make a game out of it. While you're out, drive to another town for a burger or a meal or something. One of my favorite things to do was, and we did this a few times, was to go down to the wharf in Wellington and get on the ferry that went across the Cook Strait to Picton, which is at the top of the South Island there in the Marlborough Sounds, and be a walk-on passenger onto the ferry, go across a 3-hour ferry ride across the Cook Strait, and there was this hole-in-the-wall place that had like the best burgers. And you go there, get burgers and chips, and go sit down, hot chips, and go sit down on the waterfront, watch everything going on, enjoy these burgers and chips. You'd still have time to wander around while they were turning the ferry over. And they weren't turning it around; they were taking everybody off and then getting ready to reload it. And because you can walk on like at the last minute type of thing. And so we knew how long we had, and we'd go and get a burger, go sit down on the waterfront, have these burgers, go for a wander around the town, because it's just a small little township, but they had some great little mom and pop type artsy stores and things like that too. And they had this really great bakery. And then you go up to the bakery, and if the bakery was open, depending what time the ferry got in, you go in and you get some fresh baked stuff, and then you'd walk onto the ferry and try not to eat the baked goods on the ferry on the way back to Wellington. But you've also done a 3-hour drive down to Wellington to catch the ferry, to go across, get a burger, come back, take a 3-hour drive home. So yes, we've done that too. But it's just a lot of fun just to drive somewhere completely different for lunch. Brad and I one time we were out driving around in a car, and I said, what was that place where we went and had lunch that time? He goes, I said, well, let's go back there. And he goes, it's a 2-hour drive. I went, yeah, so. So we'd drive 2 hours, go have whatever it was. He said, look, we could have this. And he's pointing out other restaurants, going, no, just have a feeling, because there was this one place, can't remember where it was. It had this really yummy dessert, and I just had a hankering for it. And so we drove 2 hours to have dessert. We just did. You do crazy things. So drive to another town for lunch, or maybe for the main course, then drive to another town for dessert, especially if you know a town that has a really good dessert in their restaurant, or a really good place for desserts, things like that. You could do like a circuit and have breakfast in one place, lunch in another place, dinner in another place. And, what'd you do today? We went out and had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Crazy. I know. So there's bubbles. Just something as simple as bubbles, blowing bubbles. Oh my gosh, you can have so much fun with that, and the way the light catches them, and you try to blow all those fancy bubbles and everything else. There always, and special fun things to do with kids. Arts and crafts. Arts and crafts, always a favorite to do. Last minute thing. I love pipe cleaners. I have this fascination with pipe cleaners, especially you can get glittery ones, and you can make, I think it's meant to be a butterfly. And then I've got the little pink one that's meant to be a rabbit with this little bent here. But I like to just sit with pipe cleaners and just shape them and that sort of thing too. So all sorts of arts and crafts. You could do drawing, you could do painting, you could do Play-Doh. Remember that smell of cracking open the Play-Doh? Brings back lots of good memories and stuff. But it's things that you can do with the kids. You can get the pom-poms and I do have it down here. I don't know if I can get it out though. I have this really cool little kit. Yeah, I can. And it's the Mega Craft Kit. And it's got sparkly stuff. It's got the googly eyes. It's got different size pom-poms. It's got different colored popsicle sticks in here. We've got different pipe cleaners there, different ones over here. Glitter glue. What else is it? Feathers. So you could have a lot of fun with this. And yes. Now this even got glitter pom-poms in here. So you could have some fun with that, just creative. And, it's something that you can do with the kids, something you can do yourself if you wanted to. I just limit it to the kids. You could go hiking. There's some really great walking trails around. There's a lot of places, if you go into like a Barnes & Noble, they will have they always have books on the local area. Always. Barnes & Noble always have books on the local area. So go grab some of those and have a look at them. They'll have things like day trips from Los Angeles, day trips from Phoenix, day trips from Washington, D.C., day trips from Richmond, Virginia. They have these little day trips that you can do. And even if you don't live in those major towns, but you live somewhere close by, it gives you ideas of places that you can go and things that you can see and do. I think she was trying to... Did you catch the bug? Did you catch the bug? You're just trying to catch a bug. But get those books on, things that you can see and do in the local area. Some of my favorite books to get are things like, the little known places off the beaten path. I love those books because they don't take you to the major sites that everybody goes and sees. It tells you about the little ones that not everybody knows about, which I absolutely love those. It could be, doing the winery tours in your local area. There's places where you can go and you can hire a driver and they will pick you up from wherever you're staying or you live, and then they drive you around the different wineries and stuff. Or have a designated driver and do your own wine tour. If you live in an area where they have harbor cruises or lake cruises or cruises up a river or whatever, that's just like a day trip or a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours or whatever, go do those. I love doing the harbor cruise in San Diego. I've done that one a few times. And you've got the option of either doing the top side of they split where the harbor thing is. You can either do the bottom half of the harbor, you can do the top half, or you can do the 3-hour trip, which is both. I like doing the 3-hour trip. You get to go up through the naval shipyard area, and then you get to go out to by the Pacific Ocean and things, and you're passing restaurants along the way and waving to the staff as they wave back to you. You get to see some beautiful yachts out sailing. If the aircraft carriers are in port, you get to see them. Those things are huge. We didn't have anything that big in our Navy in New Zealand. Let's see, talk about that one, done that one. I got to cross these off or I'm going to start repeating myself on things. And like I said, this is all over the place. So please bear with me. But doing like harbor cruises, lake cruises, and if you're doing those cruises or something, you could even, if you're out on the water, you could even do things like going fishing. There's the deep sea fishing, there's trout fishing, there's and the river fishing, that's usually trout, or salmon, fishing off a pier, surf casting, that's standing at the edge of the beach with those big long rods, and kite fishing. I don't know if they have any kite fishing over here, but in New Zealand when I was growing up, we used to get taken out to, as long as the wind was blowing from the east, we would go to the west side of the North Island, usually to Hamatangi Beach, and they would put the kite line out. They'd have a kite, they'd set it flying, and they would hook, and they had this big fat reel that was on a stake that you would put into the ground, and they'd put hooks every so often and just put it out there and basically leave it out there for the day. And then we would be at the edge there, and we'd be doing surf casting with these fishing poles that were over 6 foot long, and sometimes you'd catch things, sometimes you wouldn't. And then when it was time to bring everything back in, you'd put all the poles away, but then you would reel in the fishing line. Sometimes you caught fish, sometimes you didn't. We had 6 lemon fish one time on 30. We had put out 30 hooks, and came back in with 6 lemon fish, which are like little baby sharks. Is what they look. It's what they look like. So that was a different way of fishing. I absolutely love fishing, but there is a button here. I will not take a fish off a hook, nor will I dress the fish. In other words, debone it, descale it. No. So I will catch the fish. Somebody has to deal with it from hook to ready to cook. And then I will season it and cook it. I have no problem doing the cooking side of it, and no problem doing the fishing side. It's that bit in between. Taking it off the hook, descaling it, deboning it, gutting it, and all that sort of messy stuff. Somebody else can deal with that, and then I will definitely cook it for you. So yes, so if I go fishing, I can't do it by myself unless I have nothing, like no hook. I just have, just put the line in the water with a weight on it and let it sit there. I've done that before too. That was a lot of fun. That was actually quite a lot of fun. If you're in areas where you've got the snow out there, you never know who's watching. It could be north, and you could be watching this in the middle of winter as well. So skiing, snowboarding, with the inner tubes, going down the mountains on inner tubes, going down grass slopes on inner tubes. Those are always fun. Building snowmen. Like I said, this is all over the place. Go see a play or a musical. Does your local theatre have any shows on right now? Go support the local theatre and go see a play that they've put on, or a musical. I love doing that. Mountain bike riding. Getting on a mountain bike and going for a ride through the different trails and things. You can actually get books on mountain bike trails in local areas and things. Just taking a bike ride, getting on the bicycle and deciding where you're going to go, and off you go. Planning a weekend getaway. Now, this could be anything from going camping to an Airbnb to a bed and breakfast to visiting family. Going, if you have a cabin somewhere, going and visiting the cabin for the weekend. Just a weekend getaway. It could even be like looking at the airlines and seeing what rates that they have. Sometimes you can get really cool rates. That's like, sometimes, I don't know what's on right now. I haven't even looked, but you could, get a $50 rate one way to, say from Phoenix to Vegas, and then you've got $50 coming back as well. $100, go up there, spend a weekend in Vegas and come home again. I had clients one time, we helped them book a train trip, and the train trip went from Sacramento up to Reno. They spent a night in Reno and took the train back home again the next day. And it was on the snow train, I think it was, because it was the middle of winter. It was like February. But they had a fantastic time away, and that one was planned a little in advance, because my client called me and said I did something bad. I said, what did you do? And he said, well, I mentioned that he was taking his wife and they were going to go on the snow train and go up to Reno for a night and come back. And the next thing we know, there's 12 couples going. There's a total of 12 couples going. But they had a blast. They really enjoyed that. They managed to get seats all together on the train. They got up to Reno. We had the hotel booked for them. All the rooms were close together. They just had a blast there for one night in Reno. They got back on the train the next day and got home to Sacramento, and all went their separate ways, but had a blast of a weekend. So you can do stuff like that. Get on a train and go for a train trip. I loved getting on the train in San Diego and doing the coastal ride from San Diego to the LA, to Union Station in LA. And if Brad was up there, because there was times when Brad was up in LA, for a week or for whatever he had to go up there to do. And so I would go up there on the weekend on the train. I'd catch the train up to Van Nuys, and he would pick me up from there, and then we would spend the weekend together in LA, and then we would drive back home. And it made it easier for him to drive home because then he could use the HOV lanes. And he would take the dog with him. So I'd be without Gus for the week, and then, or sometimes he would take the dog with him. But sometimes he would board the dog for a night. But, it was just stuff like that. Just, let's go away this weekend. Okay, where are we going to go? I don't know. We went to a bed and breakfast one time in West Virginia. It was awesome. It was a great it's a getaway, and we just spent the weekend just driving around. It was raining like crazy the whole weekend, but we couldn't really get out and go walking anywhere, but we still had a blast. Do some journaling or some writing. That's another one that you could do this weekend. Do over the weekend. It's one of my favorite ones. Water balloon fights. No need to say more about water balloon fights. You can have fun with that. Board games, card games, making a house out of cards. Using a deck of cards to make a house and seeing how big you can, how wide can you get it, how tall can you get it before the whole thing collapses. When you're at a lake or something like that, and they have or a lake in a park, walking around a park is another good thing that you could do. Take a picnic for a day at the park. It could be botanical gardens. It could be some other type of garden that you can go and walk around. They may have a lake there with those little pedal boats that you can get on and go pedaling around the thing for. Great thing to do. Hang on, we just covered gardens and parks. Look at that. 2 things off at once. Museums. Museums are always fun to go, especially if they're interactive and you've got kids with you and they're interactive for the kids. Although I think the adults have more fun at the interactive stuff than the kids do. But those are always fun things to go and see and do. And especially if you've got kids with you, it's a great thing, especially if they've got interactive activities. It keeps the kids engaged and everybody has a good time. A day at the zoo is another one. A day at the zoo. Yes, I love going to the zoo. Especially San Diego Zoo is really fun. Make yourself a tea party. Have a tea party. Have a Devonshire tea. If you don't know what Devonshire tea is, look it up. It's basically bone china and sandwiches with the crusts cut off and these little mini desserts and things like that. And it's just very done some with the bone china. And you have your serviette or your napkin, cloth ones that you put across your lap, and you sit there and you drink your tea and have these little mini sandwiches and mini desserts and things. I love Devonshire teas. And you have the scones with the jam and cream and clotted cream. Clotted cream. It has to be clotted cream. Another thing you could do is get, like I see it on TikTok all the time, is or on Reels or the little short video thingies, where people make up those reaction chain of event things. Like if you have dominoes that go falling and there might be cards in there, there could be things like, you hit this, the little ball goes rolling down that. Invent one of those. Goes falling down the track, it hits this, it then kicks off this thing going, and then that thing goes, and then it does this, and da-da-da-da-da. And those are always fun to watch. I love watching those. I know they take hours and hours and hours to set up, but you can always have fun. That's one of my favorite ones, is that one. Let's see. Anything left open? Oh, yeah, we've got that one left open, but that's fine. Go into the kitchen, cook, bake, have fun. Bake some cookies, bake some cupcakes, bake a cake. Cook a meal together. Cook something. Get together and cook something you've never cooked before. Maybe it could be a different ethnic food that you've never cooked before, you've never tried before, but let's give it a go. Look it up. My middle stepson one time said that he wanted to make butter chicken. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be heading to the grocery store, so go get your list and we'll go get it. And he was gone for ages. And he comes back with this long list. I'm like, what the heck's this? So I didn't think it would be this much, but we went out, we got all the ingredients and everything else. He starts making this thing. I thought this was supposed to be quick and easy. He goes, I decided to make the gourmet version. This is a kid that's learning to cook. He decides to tackle the gourmet version of butter chicken. I'm like, okay. And so I sat at the kitchen table. He had his laptop set up on this beautiful big island. He had the laptop set up on the island, and he would play the video, stop it, go do whatever the video told him to do, and then he'd go back for the next step. And then it had a thing that he had to marinate it for like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And I'm like, and we're already at like 5 p.m. in the evening, and I'm like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. It was 9 o'clock in the evening before they finally got to sit down because it had food in it that I can't eat. Him and his dad sat down at 9 p.m. that evening and enjoyed the butter chicken, and Brad said it was really good. But I did make Chris clean up his mess though. But you can do fun things like that. Just find a recipe and make it. Or you could do, you could make cookies and put them into little bags and stuff and go give them away. Give them away to neighbors, or go for a walk and if you see somebody who's homeless, give them a bag of cookies or something. A way to give back. Build blanket forts. I love building blanket forts. Oh my gosh, you could have so much fun building blanket forts. I could turn my entire bedroom into a blanket fort when I was growing up. I had a room to myself. Although no, there was times when I did share with my younger brother, and we had bunks. And bunks make really good blanket forts because you can tuck things in underneath the top bunk, and you've got this big lean area and stuff, and you can make room. And we were making rooms inside the blanket forts. Our blanket forts weren't just one big room. We had rooms inside the blanket fort. Like that's the sleeping area, this is the kitchen, this is the living room. We made blanket fort houses, but always enjoyed them. Go for a picnic. Pack up some stuff and go for a picnic, or decide, we're just going to go through a drive-through somewhere and we'll pick up some food, and we'll go to the local market and we'll go to the deli and we'll pick up some food and go and have it as a picnic. Going to a deli can be great because you can get so much stuff from there. And I've done this before as well. We've stopped at the deli, we picked out some cold meats and salads, and made our own little whatevers. They had like little charcuterie stuff and all of that sort of thing there as well. We get some cheeses, and would have them all in these little plastic bags. It's so fun. And then would swing by the aisle that had the disposable plates and cutlery in there and pick all that stuff up as well. And we'll stop and get some drinks. And then we checked out and we'd go with our shopping bags and we'd go find somewhere to sit down and have a picnic. And we'd just put we put the shopping bags on top of the picnic table. And we had a blanket and a tablecloth. A plastic tablecloth we always kept in the car. And so we'll put the plastic tablecloth down, then stick the shopping bags of food and paper plates and napkins and the plasticware on the table in the middle of a park in a picnic space. And we'd have our picnic. Everything was in its bags and containers and everything else. It was sort of like, you don't need a picnic hamper. Yeah, you do not need a picnic hamper to have a picnic. Other times we've gone by places, especially in New Zealand. When I was living in New Zealand, we'd go by like a bakery, because in the bakery they would have sandwiches and filled rolls, and the filled rolls are taking bread rolls, slicing them open, and they'll put cold meat and salads in there, and wrap it up in bread, and kind of like the subs, but better. Sorry. And then you pick up your bits and pieces there from the bakery, and then you just go off and have a picnic with that. So we've done that as well. But I love picnics, just picking up food and going and find somewhere to sit down and have, a picnic table where you can sit. Or if you keep blankets and whatnot in the car, you've got blankets that have those nylon backings on them. So they've got the waterproof backing on them, and then you've got the nice blanket area to sit on top. Just throw one of those down on the ground and watch for ants. You can pick up some fruit as well to go with it all and just have a picnic. So that's always another good one. Fly a kite. Go kite flying if it's a windy day. Make a kite and take it flying. I've made kites out of newspaper before. That was an experience, let me tell you. Back to having fun on the water, whether you're on a lake or a river or at the beach or anything. There's always things that you can do, like sailing, jet skiing. What else have we got on here? Water skiing, tubing. So you can either tow the tube behind the speedboats, or you can, if you're on a river that's got a gentle flow, you could lazy float down the river, do the lazy river thing, or go somewhere where they actually have a lazy river. So you can do that. There's visiting places, like natural places, like if you're in Virginia, you've got Luray Caverns, you've got the Natural Bridge. So going and seeing those things that Mother Nature has created, they're always fun to do. Whitewater rafting is another one, not for this girl, but it's another option. I'm not judging just because it's me. And, you could go canoeing and kayaking and hiking, and, if you belong to a car club or a motorcycle club, they go out on rides for the weekend into different places and things like that. You could belong to a book club, meet up with a book club, or just go find somewhere quiet to read the book that you're going to be talking about at the next book club. You can go mountain climbing, and that's whether you're doing the mountain climbing with the fingertips, up the sheer face thing. Yeah, not for this girl. I have admiration for those that can do it. It is not for me. There could be actual mountain climbing. There's a place that you can go climb where you can go up climbing different mountains and things. Friend, what's he doing? 52 mountains, I think he's doing. I'll have to find out from him again. He's doing climbing these different mountains. If you're at the beach, build sandcastles, go surfing, go body surfing. I remember doing that when I was a kid. That was kind of fun. Didn't like the salty water in my mouth though. You could I can check off book clubs. You could explore surrounding areas. What's going on in the little town next door, or 3 towns over, or whatever. Go explore those. Do you have ghost towns in your local area? I know over by Superstition Mountain, they got a ghost town there, which I went and visited one time. It was awesome. I mean, it was just the main street. You had all the boardwalk and everything. These buildings were from the late 1800s, and they'd all had different purposes and things, but found this really great little apothecary where this woman made everything by hand using natural ingredients and essential oils, and her soap smelled so good and it looked good. I kept thinking, is that soap or is it fudge? Because it did look like cakes of fudge that you could do, and she had stuff sliced up. I'm like, those really do look like slices of fudge. And she says, yeah, the number of kids that come in here, and she's got to tell them, no, that's not fudge, that's soap, as in washing yourself with the body soap type of thing. And but she had stuff that had like rose petals in there, and peppermint and coke and chocolate. She had a peppermint chocolate one that smelled divine, and you just really did want to eat it. It looked good and it smelled good, and you just wanted to take a big old bite out of it, but it wouldn't taste good. But they had lots of other little stores and things, different arts and crafts in there. They had one that was all succulents. You'd go in there and they'd have succulents in different types of different containers and things. And I got these little mini treasure chests that had these little mini succulents in there, and got one each from daughter-in-laws. And I don't know if the succulents have survived still or not. I don't know. But one of them happens to like succulents very much. You'll learn the myths and legends around the area. Go find a tour that you can do. I remember visiting Tombstone. That was awesome, visiting that. And going and actually watching the reenactment of the OK Corral and learning the truth behind the OK Corral. Didn't actually take place in the OK Corral. It was outside the OK Corral. And they actually had these statues standing there about where the people were actually standing when it all went down and everything else. And you got to see Big Nose Kathy's room, and she was Doc Holliday's girlfriend and owned one of the local saloons, I think it was, if I remember correctly. But you get to hear all the myths and legends and stuff, and I got this ticket which gave me entrance into the show, into the museum. I got to see another exhibit that they had on. I could take that ticket down to the local newspaper place and actually got a copy of the newspaper that was the day after the shooting at the OK Corral. That's where I bought my Stetson, my Gus Stetson. Yes, it is actually, it has a name. It's called Gus. It was just a fabulous day walking around Tombstone and exploring and everything else. It was really cool, and watching a gunfight in the middle of the street. It was a great place. I love going to places where they do reenactments. Museums, they had a fabulous Air and Space Museum down the street, not far from where I was staying in Tucson, Arizona. It was a really cool place, and they said they said the Smithsonian had the largest one. The one in Colorado Springs, like the Air Force Museum, I think it was the second largest, and this one in Arizona was catching it fast in size and everything else. And we actually did you sat in one of those golf cart things, and they had the speakers going through with all these little trailers along the back, and he drove us down through all of these planes that are just sitting static, and we went through jets, we went through airline planes, cargo planes, helicopters, warbirds. They had a whole range of different. We couldn't see any of the space exhibits though, because that was closed off because they were remodeling everything. But as far as the planes went, we got to see a lot of good stuff. Oh, it was a good day. That was a good day. So yeah, learning about myths and legends, taking weekend camping trips. If you have tents or something like that, let's go away for the weekend. Hop in the car and go. Hi, I know you want to go for your walk. And if you're not sure what to do, if you don't want to go by yourself, find a meetup group. There are meetup groups for just about everything. In fact, I'm probably sure there's a meetup group for everything. But, you go in, if you haven't got a meetup profile, you go in there, you put what your interests are, and it brings up groups within a certain mile radius of where you are that match your interests. And you can go along and have a look, and there's travel clubs, there's car clubs, there's motorcycle clubs, there's book clubs, there's business ones for networking, there's movie clubs. I gotta show you this. Zeffy got this in her last bark box. It was an add-on. It was her 4th of July hat. We tried putting it on her, but it wouldn't stay. And it's got this piece of Velcro here, but I think it's actually the wrong side of Velcro because there's nothing to attach it to. Oh, hello. If you could see this loud, it's really funny. She's got the... Oh, I wish you could see this. This is hilarious. I know, you don't... I started putting it on her head, and I had holding the beard up to the brim on the other side, and she just opens her mouth, so the beard went into her mouth, and then she's just like, we're out of here, and just walked off with it in her mouth. But anyway, but there's clubs for everything. I've seen yoga clubs, meditation clubs. What else have I seen? Dance, different types of dance, belly dancing, ballroom dancing, tap dancing, ballet. There's different types of workout groups in there. There's different types of health groups, whether it's and there's hiking clubs, people that go hiking together, or kayaking or camping. There's some RV ones in there as well, where they do different RV trips together. Trust me, there's cycling ones there where they go and do cycling together. There's even ones that even are specifically designed that if you have a dog, they do hiking trails where dogs are welcome to go on the hiking trails. Or they have get-togethers and you bring your dog with you. There's writing groups. I belong to a fantastic one in San Diego where sit there with published authors and we read our work out to each other, and then we critique each other's work and give suggestions and ideas and help make edits on there, because we all get given a copy of you type out your 4 or 5 pages. I think it's like 10,000 words was the max that we were allowed to have. It'd be double spaced, and then the person would read it out, and you could make corrections as you went along and that sort of stuff, and come up with ideas. Or I wasn't really clear on this bit, so you're not only reading it, but you're also hearing it as well, so you can hear how it flows. So writing clubs. There was one writing club where you go along and they give you a topic, and you sit there for like an hour and you write. That's all you do. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. You just have to sit there and write for that hour. And then at the end of that hour, you come together and you read what you've written and that sort of stuff. So, there's groups out there for just about anything. If you've got interests, go have a look at Meetup and have a look there to see what groups are out there. Most of the groups on there are free. Some do have a small fee. Some will be like, you've got to pay your entry fee into wherever they're going. Or, it's a bring your own meal. Some of them make you do like progressive dinners. I've seen one that they like have an appetizer at one restaurant, go to the next restaurant, have a salad, go to the next one, have a main, go to the next one, have dessert, go to the next one for the after dinner drinks. So I've seen those ones too, but like I said, they have meetup groups for just about any subject. So knitting clubs, crochet clubs, art classes. What else was there? Floral arranging. I've seen that too. So if you're interested in anything, just go to meetup.com. If you don't have a profile, sign in, create your profile, put in what you're interested in, and it will look at what area you're in, and it will start giving you suggestions on groups that may fit you. Just have a look at the group. Some groups they'll have marked private. You have to be a member in order to see anything. But some of them are open to the public, and you get to meet some cool people through meetup groups and things like that too. So anyway, so those are some of the other things that you can do. And if you're into, you want to go to the movies or something, there are movie clubs that turn around and say, we've got 10 tickets to go see this particular showing of this particular movie. They even have meetup groups where they go to local baseball games, and not Major League Baseball, but like the minor leagues. So there's things like that you can do too. That's always a fun evening too. If you don't want to go to a major league game, go to a minor league game. They are so much fun. Done that. Go watch college football or high school football. Just get out and do something. But as I said, everything on this list does not require a device. Yes, you may need a device for recipes, you may need a device for directions, but it is not necessary. You don't have to have a device to do a lot of what's on this list that we've talked about today. Yes, I know we've gone longer than normal, and I apologize for that, but there's always lots of good ideas, and some ones that just keep popping up in here. And I think I have, explore surrounding areas. We talked about that. Talked about going sailing. You'll find sailing clubs on there as well. Talked about meetup groups. I can cross that one off. Let's see what else is on here. That's it. We've been through everything on my list. It was a big list. But we got through it. But anyway, I hope you find something fun, some fun activity in here to do, something that sparks an idea to go out and have fun. This is why I like having Sundays off where I completely unplug, because if I want to do something that's on this list, I have the time to do it. Going for a mystery drive, just getting in a car and driving in a direction. I use the dog. We're going to go left or right. Whichever way she looks, that's the way we go. Other times I get to an intersection and go, let's keep going straight ahead. I don't feel like turning here. Or if I'm approaching an intersection, the light screen is like, I don't want to turn. We're just going to go straight ahead. So we've done that sort of thing as well. But, do a Sunday mystery drive. They're always fun. We'll go somewhere. One time I said Brad had a doctor's appointment and I was driving his Yukon. And so we we're going to go out for lunch, and I told him he could pick. We ended up taking this big, long route. We were going like up the back of San Diego, out into I don't know where we were going. We were out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, how far? It's just up the road here. Are we there yet? How far am I going? Oh, you keep going. You're doing fine. It's just up the road there. That was his answer for everything. And we finally ended up in Apple Junction. And he had found a cafe that had a really good review, and he decided we were going to go there and have lunch. And they did these beautiful sandwiches, and then we had some yummy apple pie afterwards, and then we got in the car and drove home. He was at the point at that stage where he was using a walker to get around, so we weren't able to go and explore the area. But I'd like to go back and explore, especially the one that said Pistols, Petticoats, and Pistols and Petticoats was the name of the store. And I was like, that sounds. I want to go see that one. But he had the walker that he was using to get around at that time. He wasn't driving at that time. And trust me, it took us like an hour and a half to get to this place. It took us like 30 minutes to get home because he took me home the direct route. He had taken me there, this big, long, circular route, and taken me home the direct route. And I was just like, why don't I come? Because then you would have figured out where we were going. Oh, sorry, Julian. Julian was the name of the place, not Apple Junction. Julian is known for its apples and apple pies in just out of San Diego. And so it took us like 30 to 40 minutes to get home. It took us like an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there. He wanted to take the circular route to put me off the fact that we were going to Julian. Yes, but it's a popular place to travel to, especially on weekends. It's a beautiful drive out there. It's a great little community out there. Wish we could have walked around and explored more, but we had limitations with Brad's mobility at the time. So that's the way it goes. But anyway, hope you found something useful on here for fun, and it doesn't just have to be on the weekends. You can decide to take a day off in the middle of the week and go do something wild and crazy, or just something sedate and gentle that's on the list. But as I said, nothing on here is dependent on electronics, except for if you want to find, if you got recipe books, use the recipe books rather than looking up things on the internet. Yes, I understand for directions and things to get from point A to point B, totally get that, and using it to book tickets if you got to book tickets. But the whole purpose of doing this fun thing was to get away from the electronics and get offline and get unplugged, take a break from the electronics. Notice I didn't have watch movies on there. Don't know if you noticed that one. I don't have watch movies on there. So you can't stay inside. It's all about getting out and doing things. So go enjoy the great outdoors. If it's winter and when you're watching this and you want ideas for winter, there's plenty of stuff that you can do inside as well that we've talked about. And if it is winter and you have a fireplace, hot chocolate by the fireplace and get some marshmallows and toast them and have some music playing in the background and hot chocolate in front of a roaring fire with marshmallows and a bowl of ice cream. I don't know what it is. When we were in Virginia and it was snowing outside, all I wanted to do was have our fire going and sit in front of the fire and eat ice cream. That's one of my favorite things to do when it's snowing. Or even if it was wet and thundery outside, I wanted to sit by the fire and eat ice cream. So, but you got an open fire there? Toast some marshmallows. Have a bowl of ice cream with toasted marshmallows on top. There's all sorts of fun things that you can do. Anyway, go have a super fantastic sparkling rest of your evening, and we will catch you guys back here 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. What's tomorrow's topic? Figure it out before then. But go have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Enjoy your day tomorrow, and we'll see you back here at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Hey, konera.